Hey everybody, Blaine Austin here, Sewing Machines Plus. Welcome to our 5th episode of our Facebook Live show and YouTube Live. And we hope you're being safe out there. I know everybody's kind of stuck at home right now, and you know, we're trying to be safe at Sewing Machines Plus. And so welcome here. We've got about 90% of our employees are actually working from home, and so we're trying to keep our employees safe. And but we do have a small warehouse crew that's working. We have a couple service techs that are still working. So all of our shipments are going out just as, you know, business as usual. So if your shipment's delayed a little bit, please be patient with us because we are a little understaffed right now, but we're working hard to try to get your orders out. And speaking of orders, also, if you are local in the San Diego area, and you want to get something from our stores, there's a couple ways that you can do this now. So you can actually call us and we can take your order over the phone and we can ship it to you. Or you can just come in or drive in, and we're doing a curbside service. So you can drive up and we'll actually walk out to the car, take your order. You don't even have to get out of your car. You can come on in the store as well. We're taking invitation only, kind of like or you know, one people at a time type thing. So we're trying to be really cautious about, you know, the virus that's out there. We actually have hand sanitizers. We have gloves available at the retail stores. So we're trying everything we can do to be really safe and be very careful. But we know that everybody's home and they're trying to sew, so sometimes you need supplies. The other thing that we're doing that we're really pushing really hard is our mask drive. We've kind of been working with a local company here. It's called Quilter's Paradise. And they are cutting all the fabric kits for us that we can make masks. So if you're local and want to help out and use your sewing talents, you can come by, drive up and get a pack. And each pack has enough material in it to make 10 masks. So you can make those, you can bring them back and drop them right back off at either store. And that has been going so well. The stores have really been helping, the store personnel that is, has really been helping us with that. And I'm so thankful for the community we have here in San Diego area with all the sewers. It's been incredible what y'all been doing to help us in doing these masks. And we're donating them to like the local hospitals that'll take them, some medical centers and things, because there's such a shortage of those N95 masks. So they're trying to save those for the people that are actually really doing the critical things. And all the non-essential personnel are using our cloth masks. So they are taking them and sanitizing them and using those. So right now, I think we're at around the 6,000 mark, and our goal is to do 25,000 masks. So we're well on our way. We've been doing this for just about a week. And so we still need your help. If anybody out there wants to give it a shot and try to sew, you know, stop by one of the stores and pick up one of those kits, and we'll appreciate it. So we know everybody's at home wanting to sew. So we thought, what better thing to talk about today than needles for your machine? And we have the expert on needles with us today. And I met Rhonda years ago, and she came to one of my big events, and I watched this seminar that she did there on needles. And I'll have to admit, guys, I just thought, you know, needle had a point and that little eye that you put your thread through. Little did I know there was so much, you know, anatomy to a needle, and till Rhonda kind of enlightened me. So she's going to talk a little bit about that today and enlighten us on all the different aspects of needles. And then we've got Chris Cooney, which is our Sewing Machines Plus service manager. He's going to come on board today, and he's going to talk a little bit about what you can do at home with your machines between servicing to keep it up, you know, running tip-top shape, and even now that you're stuck at home, you know, if something happens, what could you do to try to get it running? So anyway, let's get on with the show, and let's welcome Rhonda Pierce in from Illinois. Hey, Rhonda, how are you? Okay, I don't hear anything yet. She is Muted.
I'm terrific, and I'm
There you
pleased
go.
to be here. Okay, yay.
So how's everything up in the Illinois area?
Well, everyone is being very cautious, and I'm so glad to hear that you and your customers are making masks for our medical staffs in our communities. But on the flip side of that, it is truly a great time to sew,
Well,
whether masks or your own projects.
I tell people it's like you're stuck at home. What better thing to do is get that sewing machine out, dust it off, and make a couple projects that you've been putting off forever. Get them out and make them.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, I started a project 15 years ago, and I'm going to finish it this weekend. So,
well, speaking of 15 years ago, okay, so tell me, Rhonda, how you got started sewing, and then how'd that lead to you getting actually into the business?
I have sewn for many, many years. My mom used to sew for people, and it was natural for me to pick up the sewing machine and start sewing. I was active in 4-H, and I bring that up because one of the publications I create is SCHMETZ Inspired to Sew, and the new issue is all about the influence of 4-H. So we can talk about that later. I'm from a farm community in Nebraska, went to college in Nebraska, and as soon as I graduated from college, I took the next plane to New York City, and my first job was with Vogue Butterick Pattern. So what a wonderful way to get baptized in the industry.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So now, how did you get into working at SCHMETZ?
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't planned, but having sewing skills certainly has served me well. I've worked for a variety of wholesale distributors in the Chicago area, and now work for Euro Notions that represent SCHMETZ in North America. And I've been to the original SCHMETZ factory in Germany, and know all their staff. And one thing led to another, and I'm just so pleased to continue to serve my sewing public with the most essential part of the machine. I always like to say, I can't believe 2 inches of steel has really given me a wonderful career.
That's funny. So, before you got on, I was talking a little bit about you, but in the day when I first got here to the studio, I was talking to the guys, and I was telling them, we got to talking about needles, and I said, I never knew there was so much anatomy to a needle until you came to one of my big events, and you did a seminar on stage. Just a brief seminar, about 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I think, about needles. And I remember listening, excuse me, I remember listening to you, and you were talking about all the different parts of a needle. And I was like, I always thought there was just, the little point and an eye that you put the thread through. So, and I was so blown away by what you told me.
I know. I think you'd really be surprised at, actually the needle is an engineered tool. And there's actually 32 steps in the process to manufacturing a needle. And Blaine, do you want to guess how long it takes to manufacture a needle? I think you'll be blown away.
So this is a trick question, because I probably
No, it's not a trick. It is a trivia question.
Though, right? Because I heard you talk, and I'm like, you probably told me. I have no idea. I bet
it takes 12 weeks. 12 weeks to manufacture a needle. Now, they're batching needles hundreds at a time, but nevertheless, from the time the steel is cut to the final inspection, that's 12 weeks. And with 32 steps in the production of the needle, there are over 70 quality control steps to the production of a SCHMETZ needle. So when you open that package of needles, you've got a needle ready to sew.
So everybody out there needs to remember that when they take that needle out, and be careful with it. Don't jerk your fabric out, because that 12 weeks of labor went into that, making that needle. So that is incredible.
It is. It is.
I'm blown away by that.
Well, let me just talk a little bit about the parts of the needle. There's actually 8 different parts to the needle. I won't talk about all of them. And when I give my classes and I travel, I always travel with my SCHMETZ Super Demo Needle. It's 17 inches tall. There's a beveled edge at the very top of the needle for easier needle insertion. Your home sewing machine needle has a flat shank for perfect positioning in your machine. You've got this little transitional area, which is referred to as a shoulder, and it's now color-coded, and we will talk about that. You've got the length of the blade, and the size of your needle is determined by the measurements in this area here. And have you noticed on your needle that on top of the blade, there's a groove? If you pick up your little home sewing needle and run your finger across the top of the needle, you'll notice the groove. And the groove has a very important purpose. The groove is going to cradle your thread. Cradle your thread so it's not flip-flopping back and forth. You want the thread to move evenly and smoothly down the length of the needle to the eye so you get a good quality stitch. On the back side of your needle, let's see, I think you can see that, is this little indentation, which is referred to as the scarf. And the scarf has a very important function when making your stitch. The needle passes through your throat, the fabric, and your throat plate, and your bobbin hook has to come up and catch that top thread in order to create the stitch. So the little scarf is a passing room for the bobbin hook in order to make the stitch. And the scarf configuration, the length will change a little bit according to the different needle types. Then, of course, we've got the needle points and tips, and these change according to needle types. And then we've got the eye. And Blaine, is the eye getting smaller for you to thread?
Hey, excuse me. I would have to have one of those self-threading machines.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So I'll tell you what, if David would bring up the first slide about the eye of the needle. And I want to just make sure you understand that needles have different eyes. Let's see. On the left-hand side, you can see the universal needle, and that's the workhorse needle of all of our sewing. The universal needle you work with on your wovens and your knits. And the eye is about 40% the width of the blade. When you look at the next picture, which is the embroidery needle, you'll see that the eye is not only wider, but it's actually wider. And when you look at the third picture, the metallic and top stitch, you'll see that the eye is not only wider, but it's elongated. So those are the primary needle eyes to a variety of needle types. Now you might be wondering, well, so what? What does the size of the needle have to do? You can come back to me. What's the purpose of a larger eye? A larger eye means that there's less stress on your thread as it's passing through the eye of the needle. Less stress on the thread as it's passing through the eye. So if you've got a problem with threads that are breaking or shredding, the first thing you want to do is either change your needle type or move up to a larger needle size. That way you'll have a larger eye. There'll be less friction on the thread as it's passing through the eye of the needle. So I hope that solves one of your problems. Shredding and breaking threads is certainly a common occurrence, and it's mostly an easy fix. Just change your needle type or your needle size.
Well, hey, Rhonda, I got a question for you.
Sure.
And I go to a lot of quilt shows around the country, and we usually take one of our big quilting machines there, and I have people come up to me all the time and ask about the needles for the quilting machine, but they'll ask me, hey, I've got a embroidery machine and a quilting machine. Can I use the same needle for both, or even can I use the same needle for quilting?
Okay.
Sewing. So can you use the needle for all three, or are there specific needles for each type of thing you're doing?
Well, I always like to say with SCHMETZ, you have choices. I will also add there is no police for what needle you use. But let's just take, for instance, quilting. There are 5 primary needle types that are used for quilting, and I just happen to have some packs here. What do you think the most popular needle type is for piecing and quilting? You want to guess, Blaine?
Well, I can't guess.
Okay.
That's beyond my learning.
Well, you know what? It's the universal needle.
Okay.
The universal, we've got a lot of really well-known quilters that like to piece and quilt with the universal. Nothing wrong with the universal needle. But I also like to point out that with SCHMETZ, you have a wide assortment of needles that are available, and you might get an even better stitch with another needle type. So if you are by chance working with flannels and maybe you're making a raggy quilt, those are always really popular. And the jeans needle is popular for raggy quilts, especially because you're going through a lot of thicknesses. And one of the special features, exclusive features to the SCHMETZ jeans needle is that it has a reinforced blade that can really tolerate going through those heavy thicknesses. So jeans is an option for your raggy quilts. There's quite a few piecers that like to use the top stitch needle for piecing and for quilting. We saw earlier, we mentioned that the top stitch needle has an elongated eye. So again, if you're having problems with your threads that are breaking or shredding, the top stitch might be a good choice for you. We have the quilting needle, and just as the needle name suggests, you would use this for your piecing and your quilting. And what's special about the quilting needle is about the taper of the point. Let me see if I can kind of show. The quilting needle has an elongated severe point that's perfect for piecing and quilting. And then finally, and this one happens to be my favorite needle, this is the Microtex needle. SCHMETZ Microtex. The generic name for Microtex is sharp. So when your books and magazines say use a sharp needle, they're referring to a Microtex needle. And the Microtex needle has what's referred to as a very slim acute point. So it's the finest point of all the needles that SCHMETZ makes. And because it is the finest point and tip, your Microtex needle is going to dull quicker than any of your other needle types. So you will need to replace your Microtex needle more frequently than your other needle types. Now you may have noticed on these cards, these are all the SCHMETZ Chrome professional grade needles. This is the premium needle that SCHMETZ have. And the colors, the cards are very colorful, aren't they? Now, you might have noticed that behind me, I've got the SCHMETZ color chart. And David, if you would bring the SCHMETZ color chart up. Yep, there you go. You'll notice that since 2014, SCHMETZ needles are now color-coded by needle type and size. So when you look at this diagram, on the left-hand side, you see it's at the top, it's labeled needle type, and then we list all the different types of needles. So the needle type is identified by the top band of color on your needle. So on this diagram here, you'll see the top band of color on your needle is yellow. So what needle type is this? Yellow for stretch. Yellow for stretch. On the right-hand side of this picture, you'll see the column labeled needle size, and you'll see all the different sizes from the smallest, the finest needle size, which is a 60/8, all the way up to a size 120/19. Those are the largest sizes that our home sewing machines can accommodate. So, and there's a color associated with each size. So on our sample here, we know that the top band is yellow, so that's a stretch needle, and the lower band is a rose color. So when you look at the color blocks on the right-hand side, you'll see rose color is a size 75/11. So this sample here is a stretch 75/11. So my favorite needle type is a micro-tack. So what color would the top color band be? Micro-tacks. You look off to the left-hand side and you'll see that micro-tacks is purple. And size 80 is the most frequent size that I use for micro-tacks. So that would be orange. So a micro-tack size 80 would be a purple top band and a lower band of orange. So if you were sewing on knits and you were using a jersey size 80, well, you'd have 2 orange bands on your needle. So it would be an orange band for jersey and an orange band for size 80. One more thing I want to point out on this chart is the very first needle type that's listed is universal, and it's X'd out. So universal needles are color band for only the needle size. Universal needles have only one band of color, and that's to identify your needle size. So if you are interested in this chart, it certainly is available. Blaine, do you have that on your website? They can certainly go to SCHMETZ.com for that. There you go. Okay. Here's the link to the chart. You can go to SCHMETZ.com and you can upload it. And there's the link. You'll go to SCHMETZ.com.
That chart is actually in those little sample booklets, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so we can get them in the retail stores as well if somebody wants one of those.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Kyle, do we have that up on our website, the chart?
We can put it up after.
Okay, so what we're going to do, Rhonda, we don't have that on our website yet. So Kyle just said that he's going to get that on our website as well. So somebody can reference that on our own website under the needles.
Okay. Well, the other thing they can do too is, definitely you want to get the paper version because it's, you know what, it's cute and it's handy. And really it's the meat and potatoes to needle education. But, we also have a free app, the SCHMETZ app, SCHMETZ Needle app. And if you just go to Google Play or the Apple Store and type in SCHMETZ, and the free app will come up, and it's similar. It's the same information. Actually, it's even more information than we have in here. One of the things about the little ABC Pocket Guide is we've got a little reference along the foot of the first dozen or so pages, and it's a little reference of what needle to use with what fabric type. And that feature is available in the app also. It has a list of over 80 different fabrics, so you can just click a fabric and it'll suggest what needle to use, because how do you remember it all? And we do need to update the app, but and add like bamboo and cork and some of the newer fabrics, but it's still good basic information.
That'd be the way to go to me, is just download that app and then you have everything right at your fingertips all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So again, you just go to Google Play or to the iTunes App Store, and enter SCHMETZ, SCHMETZ, and it'll pop right up. You'll see the round SCHMETZ logo, and it's really quite handy. And you'll also see that diagram that we looked at earlier with the eyes, and you'll also find a diagram about the parts of the needle, so you'll have greater understanding about that.
That's awesome. So, hey, I've got another question real quick.
Okay.
So I know there's some needles that actually advertise that they're chrome and then some that don't. What is the difference between those two?
Okay, so these needles that we just talked about on the colorful packs, these are chrome. And chrome is a premium finish. Chrome resists heat and resists wear. So there's less resistance when your needle passes through your fabric. There's less resistance. You get a cleaner stitch. The chrome also is in the eye of the needle. So there's less friction on the thread as it's passing through the eye of the needle. So very good question. I was a little suspect when we first came out with chrome, is it really necessary? But I did test. I tested specifically the Microtex size 80. And I would say with 80% of the different types of fabrics that I tested, I could see, feel, and hear the difference in the stitch quality. So I've converted over to all SCHMETZ chrome needles. The chrome are easy to identify in your store because the cards are based on the SCHMETZ color chart. And I'll just point this out. So just like on the color bands on your needles, you've got two sets of colors on the cards. So this upper left-hand corner will identify the needle type. So purple for Microtex. Size is indicated by the lower right-hand corner. And this is orange, so you know it's a size 80. So purple and orange, and those are the same colors you're going to find on this pack, on the needles in this package here. So green for quilting. Size 90 needles in chrome will always be blue. Let me go to universal. So we talked about that the universal has only one band of color, and that's to identify your needle size. So you've got white on the upper right-hand corner, and then the lower right-hand corner will identify your needle size, orange for size 80. So these really pop out. They help make learning about needles easier and help you identify needles once they're out of the pack. So good question. Thank you.
All right. So one thing I wanted to do too is just throw it out to our audience out there. If anybody has any questions, feel free to throw a question up, and David will throw it up on the screen, and then we can just look, read it off and try to answer some of those questions as well. And one of the things that I wanted to tell everybody too, if you're tuned in, we're going to do some giveaways today on the show. And I've got some things up here. I'm actually going to give away 5 of these sewing machines today.
Wow.
So all you have to do to enter is make a comment on screen, and you'll be automatically entered. We'll pull a name up. So we're going to give 5 of these little Janome machines away. I know it looks like a little toy up here next to me, but it's actually a working, functioning, great little machine for travel. People love these things for RVs. And you can give them away as gifts. There's great gifts for somebody who's just getting into the sewing hobby. So it's a great little machine to have. And then I've got a few other little things to give away. And Rhonda, I know you've got some little things to give away.
Yes,
as well,
I
right?
do. Let's start with the SCHMETZ chrome needles. So I've got 5 packs of needles. So these were selected especially for people who like to piece and quilt, although you could use them for many different types of projects. But so who wants some SCHMETZ chrome needles?
Well, I think, David, can we pick a winner? We'll just pull a winner up, and it'll come up on the screen for that first packet. And so how's it coming over there? All right, he's pulling somebody up now. They're coming up. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit about what we're giving away too. We're giving away, this is actually called a cake mix recipe, and it is for doing piecing. And these are the layer cake fabric, and then I have cake mix recipe. So we're going to give that away. I have the patriotic fat quarters in here. So a little bundle of fat quarters we're going to give away. Hey, we have a winner, Mary Pryor Thornton.
Yay!
Is that Thornton? Thorsten. I'm sorry, Mary Pryor Thorsten. Congratulations, Mary. You won the pack of, is it 5 packs of needles?
It's a 5-pack, yeah.
5 packs.
5 packs of needles.
All right. And then we're going to pick another. Don't you have another 5-pack or something that you're doing?
I'll tell you what. Okay, that's a great lead in because our newest needle is the SCHMETZ Super Non-Stick Needle. And I'm sure that some of your customers enjoy working with machine embroidery, or maybe they sew on vinyls or mesh. Maybe they work with sticky stabilizers. And what happens when you work with all those sticky things? Yes.
I know what happens with sticky stabilizer. I do know what happens there.
Right. All that sticky, all those adhesives gum up your needles. So we've got the solution, and that's the SCHMETZ Super Non-Stick Needle. Now, the first thing you'll notice about these needles is the color. They're kind of a gunmetal color. And when you feel them, when you touch the needle, I have a new word called slickery. They're slick and they're slippery.
Slickery.
So I can't use the T word for Teflon, but it's a non-stick surface.
Okay.
A SCHMETZ Super Non-Stick also has a reinforced blade, so you get cleaner stitches. There's less stitch deflection. You get cleaner stitches. And the eye is extra large. So now there's less stress on the needle, or less stress on the thread passing through the eye of the needle. So if you work with sticky stabilizers, spray adhesives, fusibles, vinyls, splashware, oilcloth, and the list goes, and you do machine embroidery, or you do machine applique. These are fabulous needles to use. And they come in 4 sizes. The smallest size is 70. There's a size 80, 90, and 100. These are the newest needles. And you know what, Blaine? I'm going to give these 4 packs of needles away today to your customers.
That is awesome. Awesome gift. So again, if anybody has any questions for Rhonda, now's the time, because Rhonda is the expert on needles. And I know I get asked questions all the time, and I usually can't even answer them because they're, I don't know a lot about these needles. But I get the concept of that non-sticky needle, because, a lot of times when people, are at shows and stuff, they'll talk about using the sticky stabilizer, and it always gums up everything. Yeah. And I always tell them, just change your needles out often. Yeah. And to try to eliminate that from getting, affecting the stitches. And right. So that'd be great. So do we have a winner, guys, yet so who's going to win the non-sticky needles?
Oh, come on. Who wants those super non-stick needles?
I think they're trying to work on pulling somebody up right now.
Blaine, while we wait for the winner's name to come up, I'll just add that the needle gets really hot when you're stitching, especially with embroidery machines, because it's sewing so fast.
Right. The faster the stitches, the hotter the needle gets. So it looks like we have a winner. Is that Kyra Marie McLaughlin? Is that right? Corinne? I'm having trouble reading it. Corinne Marie.
Corinne Marie.
So congratulations, Corinne.
Fantastic.
She's won the pack of the 4-pack of the non-stick needles. And again, if you're a winner, please email us your name and your shipping address where you want this shipped to CEO at SewingMachinesPlus.com. Hey, and we'll get that right out to you, within a day or two, and we'll get it shipped out to you. So congratulations, Corinne. All right, so we have talked so much about the different needles. So let's talk about embroidery needles. I know that those are the nonstick. Is that the only ones you recommend using in an embroidery machine? Are the nonstick?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think the SCHMETZ Super Nonstick sales are skyrocketing. When I look at the sales reports, you can't go wrong with a regular SCHMETZ embroidery needle. It too has that extra large eye, but with having the nonstick surface is a huge benefit to, to working with that needle. Yeah. So, yes, for machine embroidery, you've got a couple options. You've got the traditional machine embroidery needle. We've got the SCHMETZ Gold needle, which is a titanium needle. And then the SCHMETZ Super Nonstick. So you do have choices. Some people also like to embroider with a top stitch needle because we saw earlier that the top stitch has that elongated eye. The top stitch and the metallic both have that enlarged and elongated eye. So those would work too. If you're working with super fine threads, some of those new micro threads, you might consider a microtex needle. So, I always like to suggest that you have a variety of needle types and sizes in your stash, because when you're sewing, it's like a new project every time. You're working with different types of threads, different types of fabrics, different types of designs with different densities. And our machines have personalities also. So what works for you may not work for, your other sewing friends. So sometimes you kind of have to test what works best.
So, Rhonda, it looks like we have a question to you.
And it's stretchy, super thick merino interlock. Okay. Well, let's talk about sewing with knits. I'm guessing when she says interlock that's a knit fabric, and merino, of course, would be wool. My first thought would be a jersey needle, or if the fabric has any lycra, spandex, or elastic to it, I would use a stretch needle. So let me just say that differently. So when you're working with a stretchy fabric, how do you know what needle type to use? My rule of thumb is when your fabric has lycra, spandex, or elastic, to select the stretch needle first. If it's just a regular knit fabric with none of those extra lycra, spandex, I would use a jersey needle. Sometimes stretch and jersey are interchangeable, but not always. Now, since she's working with a wool, I would also throw in a universal needle as an option too. I oftentimes use a universal needle when I'm sewing with wool. Wool is one of my favorite fabrics. So you do have choices. You should, sample test your different needle types.
Okay. So looks like Rachel. Hey, Rachel, welcome to the show. And she says, what's best free motion quilting needle? What's the best free
Rachel, for free motion quilting, I'll tell you what, I would go with I would try the SCHMETZ Super Nonstick needle to start with. Yeah. Just because you're going through all those layers, and there'll be less resistance going through the fabric layers and the batting. Other options, of course, are the quilting needle. So those would be the two I would suggest, quilting or the Super Nonstick.
Okay. So that answers quite a few questions. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. This is Liz
Minky.
Oswell.
Liz, I love sewing with Minky. Minky and Cuddle fabrics. And I do sew a lot of Cuddle fabrics in Minky. So stretch size 90 is my preferred needle type. And if you, even if you contact Shannon Fabrics that makes the Minky and the Cuddle fabrics, that's what they suggest is the SCHMETZ stretch size 90. Yes, good question. Every season is a good season for cuddle and minky fabrics.
So again, if y'all have any needle questions before Rhonda leaves, make sure you ask them. So when we get up, we'll try to get to everything. And if you have any service related questions, go ahead and ask them now, and we can pull those up when Chris comes on, and we can talk about some service things. And I think I did see a question somebody asked about if we had any 1/4-inch elastic. We do have 1/4-inch elastic in the stores. We just got another some shipment in, and we know that's been really going fast for people doing the surgical mask of their own styles. The masks that we have in our kits don't require any elastic. They have the ties on them. So, but anyway, if you have a question for Rhonda before she gets off here, let's ask her. And so Rhonda, I guess, I'm kind of a little uneducated when it comes to all the different types of needles. I mean, just hearing what you said about the nonstick and the chrome, I would probably use chrome for everything I did, other than if I was doing something free motion that was really a fast speed, I would use the nonstick. And if I was using probably the sticky stabilizer backing and embroidery, I'd probably use the nonstick. Other than that, I'd probably just use chrome.
Yeah, chrome and super nonstick, needles of choice. Now, the SCHMETZ chrome are available only in the best-selling needle types and sizes. So you're probably covered with the type of sewing that you would want. Like the wing needle is not available in chrome, but your best sellers are. And the other thing I want to mention before I leave is that needles don't last forever. They do get dull and they do wear out. So you do need to be in tune with your machine. So while you're sewing, let's just review clues to knowing when to change your needle. So, of course, if your threads are breaking or shredding, what's the first thing you want to do? Change the needle. Change the needle. That's right. A simple solution. If your stitches are skipping, or you're saying, well, I'm sewing in a straight line, why are my stitches coming out wiggly squiggly? That's another clue. You need to change your needle. Perhaps you're puckering, or you're damaging your fabric, or your fabric is snagging. What are you going to do? Change the needle. And don't forget about your machine. Oftentimes when we're sewing, we're kind of in tune with the hum of the machine, right? Well, you know what? Our machines talk to us, and it starts with a little click, click, click. It graduates to a pop, pop, popping sound. And if you're really not in tune with your machine is going to be going clunk, clunk, clunk. And what are you going to do? It's such an easy, inexpensive solution. You're going to change your needle. So, the needle is not a permanent part of the machine. It is meant to be changed. Don't be afraid to change the needle. And when you think you're only spending, minimal amount of money, $1 or whatever, on an expensive machine, that little needle can really make a difference in your stitch quality. So what's my final message? Change the needle.
Hey, I see another question came up, Rhonda. It says, do you have any tips for a newbie?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, for a newbie, I would get together with your dealer, and I hope that's Blaine and his staff in his stores. Take the lessons from your store. You need to learn and feel comfortable with your machine. Ask questions of the staff, about the features and benefits of the machine. I would start out with very simple projects, straight stitching, with just the universal needle. And as you become more comfortable with your machine, then try different needle types and different needle sizes. So if you're interested in making baby blankets, well, you know what? Grab a quilting needle or grab a Microtex and just start with those straight seams using the different needle types. But it's most important that you align yourself with your local dealer.
That's great advice, and I would second that. I think that somebody's getting into this, really look out and see if they have any beginning classes that you can get involved in, because we have sewing classes just geared for the beginner. Hey, I have another question. When it comes down to sergers, so we sell a ton of sergers, and so if somebody has a serger and they're looking to do that, would you use the same needles, or what would your advice be for sergers?
Okay, sergers are kind of a tricky question. What you absolutely must do is get your owner's manual out. And oftentimes you kind of have to hunt for the information. You need to find out what needle system your serger uses. On a lot of new machines, like new machines within the last 5 or 10 years, on the inside cover of the serger, you will see you'll see a label or even imprinted use needle system. It could be a 13705H, which is your regular home sewing needle, or it could be needle system ELX 705, which is a specific needle just for sergers. So you must go a step further and find out what needle system to use.
Well, that's good information. Because I get asked that, and I'm like a deer in the headlights when they ask about sergers. I just had no idea. I love the serger. I think it's a great machine, and the air threading sergers is
Yes, absolutely,
makes it easy. But somebody asked me about needles, I'm just like, okay, I didn't know, and that's great information.
Well, to muddy the waters a little bit more, but to be upfront with you, machines that say ELX 705, that's a very specific needle. That particular needle has a groove, of course, on the front, but it also has a groove on the back of the needle. So it is a specific requirement. However, I have one of those self-threading fabulous sergers too. And it does say ELX 705, but frequently, depending on the simple serging that I'm doing, I can use a regular home sewing needle. I did try to use the super nonstick needle on my serger, and guess what? It did not work. I broke both the needles right away. I was in a panic. But sometimes, again, with the newer models, you can use either 13705H, which means the needle has a flat shank and the scarf on the back. That's what all of our home sewing machine needles are, a flat shank needle with a scarf. That's referred to as needle system 13705H.
Well, I was playing around with the serger actually last week. Baby Lock just let us start selling the new Celebrate online for the first time, and that's an air threader under $1,000.
Okay.
And so I was, playing around with it, trying to see if I could get, do the air threading. That was so simple to do. It was awesome, but I broke a needle. And the reason I did is because when, after you do the serging and it cuts your material, and you have your little excess, I call it the tail hanging off of the fabric, I kind of grabbed it too quick and pulled it, and it actually broke my needle. And
oh my gosh!
The store manager, Deb Donovan, was there, looking over my shoulder, and she got on to me about it. It's like, you're doing this wrong. So I got a lesson on sergers last week.
I have to tell you, at first I was intimidated by sergers, but I am a huge fan of serging. I finish off all my garments with serge seams, and when I quilt, I don't quilt with the serger, but I do finish the perimeter of the quilt before I do the binding. So I love serging, and I too have a Baby Lock that does the self-threading, and that just removes so much stress.
It's, and I talked to a lady here a while back. We had a serging event at one of our stores, and I was at the event, and we had a lady who was telling us, and she actually said that she doesn't even use her sewing machine anymore. She does everything on her serger. says, that's all I use as a serger now. And I was like, I'd never really thought about that, but I guess you can, if the things that you're doing, because I think all she does is more garment stuff. So garment sewing. So she just uses her serger.
Yeah. Wonderful machines.
That's great.
Well, any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to see if we have anybody. Hey, Sue. Sue just came aboard and said she loves her serger. Well, Rhonda, it looks like we don't have any more questions. We're going to bring Chris in next. And hey, we sure do appreciate you taking the time today and coming on our show and telling us all about needles. And I promise you, somebody learned something, because I learned something every time I see you talk about them. And I learned some stuff today. And I thought, I was telling our guys that, before the show started, I was kind of feeling good that I could still remember some of the things that you talked about, the anatomy of a needle. So sure do appreciate you doing that. And, stay safe up there in the Chicago area. And I know everybody's at home right now. So I know you kind of, trucked it out to the office today to be on the show. We sure do appreciate you doing that. But go home, relax, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Blaine, and keep on sewing. Sew SCHMETZ.
Awesome. Bye, Rhonda.
Bye-bye.
So there you have it, folks. That is awesome. Rhonda Pierce came on board today and told us all about the needles, and I love getting that kind of information and sharing it. So I know Rhonda kind of touched on a few things about when to change your needle and things like that. So next up, we're gonna bring our service manager in, but before we do, I wanted to kind of finish telling you what we're doing today. If you just tuned in, we got a bunch of giveaways today that we're gonna have. We had 2 giveaways that Rhonda gave away already, and then I have some things I'm giving away, and we got a little set of scissors with a little caddy. A few little things up here. It's like worth $75. I have some fat quarters, all patriotic themed here. We have some cake layers and a cake mix recipe book that you can take and to help you kind of design some quilts and things. And then you see the little Janome machine I have right here. Well, I'm gonna give 5 of these away today. And this is not a toy. This is an actual working real sewing machine. And it's just a very small footprint. And these things are so great if you want to take them with you on vacation or in an RV. If you want to give them to somebody who's just getting into sewing, these have been very popular for people giving them to their grandkids and things, just to, trying to get their granddaughter into sewing or grandson. So, but don't, be intimidated by its small size. This thing is a great, great machine. I'm not saying intimidated. It should be fooled. Don't be fooled by its small size. This thing's a really working regular sewing machine. It's just a very small, compact one. And so that's why a lot of people really like this thing, because they can put it in their RV and carry it around with them. So we're going to give 5 of these away. Make sure if you go and make a comment, you'll automatically be entered to win for the prizes. And we automatically draw. It just has a automated drawing thing that comes out. Hey, Pat, how are you doing today? And I hope everybody's staying in and staying safe. Can we buy the little red machine? That's what D is asking. Yes, D, you can. They are on our website. And I think, Kyle, what is the retail price on this? We have them on sale right now. They're normally like $119. All right, so they're on sale right now for $79 on our website, and they're normally $119. So great little machine. And so if you don't win one today and you want to get one to put in your RV or to have one to carry around on vacation and things with you, it's very, very portable. And this thing is extremely lightweight. I mean, this thing probably doesn't weigh, it's under 10 pounds, has to be. And so great little machine. So anyway, make a comment and you'll be entered to win. And if you have any questions for Chris today, which is our service manager here at Sewing Machines Plus, feel free to put your question up there, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And so anyway, I'm going to bring Chris in, and we're going to talk a little bit about servicing the machines today. Hey, Chris. I don't hear you yet. Hang on. I think he's got to get you. You on? We have him?
We have him. Chris is muted himself.
Are you muted, Chris?
There we go. Is that better?
Oh, we got you. Hey.
There we go.
So Chris is over. We're actually two different locations today. Chris is actually at our corporate office in his office in the service center. And so, Chris, what I wanted to talk a little bit about today, and I don't want to throw you too many curves, but one of the things that I want to talk about, people ask this all the time, and I know you get calls constantly, about problems that customers are having with their machines. But so since everybody is stuck at home right now, and a lot of people are afraid to get out to take their service to their local dealers, one of the things that we were talking about, we recommend that, if they do have to get out and take their machine, make sure that the dealer have curbside service where they don't have to get out, and then make sure that the dealer's telling them that they're going to completely sanitize their machine before they pick it up and bring it back to them. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We're sanitizing the machine, and all of our guys are wearing gloves and things. So, but what are some things, Chris, that customers could do, at home right now, they could do themselves just to kind of keep their machine running tip-top shape between services?
One thing that we talk about a lot here is TNT, and that's thread, needle, and tension. And, we've talked a lot today about the needles, the scarf, the correct positioning, the reason you want to replace those. Thread quality being another important thing. If you have an older thread, it will lose its elasticity. That's going to create more problems for you. Tension, obviously a big one. You're going to have to change that with weights of thread, with the type of fabric. If you are having problems and you are breaking threads, you're having an issue, there are a few things that I always recommend. Start by taking out your needle, replace the needle. They are inexpensive, and it's better than ruining a project or wasting any more of your time. But before replacing that needle, I recommend you take the needle out and leave it out. Take out your bobbin and your bobbin case, and take off your needle plate. And this is when you're having a problem. You can take all of those things off. Then you can run the machine a little bit with all of those out and see if that problem is continuing. If it does, then you've kind of ruled out all of those things. But generally, by taking out, the needle, bobbin, and the bobbin case, you'll resolve the issue. You can add those pieces back in one at a time and try and pinpoint what the actual issue is. It will make this a lot easier if you clean out the hook area, where you put your bobbin case into is referred to as the race or the hook. So if you want to clean that out, now we've gone back and forth with customers and many people here with using canned air as opposed to using a brush. You'll hear a lot of places don't use the canned air. That's going to blow stuff inside of your machine, and you're not going to be able to get it out. The canned air is not going to hurt your machine at all. It may blow a little bit of dust into your machine, but when you bring it in for your professional service, we're more than ready to deal with that. It is part of it. It is better to use the canned air. You're going to do a more thorough job. You're going to keep less buildup on there long term. So definitely don't be afraid to use the canned air. You want to make sure to hold it a decent distance away and you're not shaking the can or anything first, but canned air is definitely safe to be using. Once you've kind of cleaned it out, we use a solution here with one quarter rubbing alcohol and 3/4 water. Just get that on a little rag and you can kind of wash out inside of the hook and just make sure that everything is clean as you reassemble. Then put in your new needle, brand new needle, making sure that you have the scarf that they went over earlier in the correct position for your machine, whether it's a vertical or a horizontal hook. That will always be explained for you in the manual. So you want to put that needle in, replace your bobbin case, making sure to get that lined up. And before you replace it, I always look at the bobbin case, just visually inspect it for damage, any needle holes, anytime you got it jammed, that you can create some problems there. Put the bobbin back in and sew. Generally, that's going to take care of most of your issues. If you're still having something, that's when you may have to take it in. Also, feel free to call us here, the 800 number, and you'll get myself on the line. It's 1-800-401-8151. We're more than happy to take any of those phone calls for specific problems and try and give you a more, step-by-step process from there. But it is important to be replacing those needles. They are inexpensive. And I know that we didn't kind of touch on this, but if you have a bent needle, every time the hook comes around, it's going to hit that needle and you're going to do damage to the hook, which is a much more expensive part than the inexpensive needle. So it's just another great reason to be replacing those regularly.
All right. That's some good stuff. And one thing too, Chris, that a lot of people they are very reluctant to change their needle. And I don't know why, because they're so cheap. But a lot of times, we'll tell them, hey, does it have a burr on the needle? Because, somebody will call in and say, hey, my machine is skipping stitches, or it's bird nesting under the bottom, or, do different things, or it's breaking needle. We hear all kinds of things, but most of the time they'll say, oh, my machine's, the stitching's not looking good, or it's bird nesting. And you'll say, well, have you checked your needle for burrs? Oh yeah, it doesn't have a burr. But sometimes you can't feel that burr. It could have a burr on it and you just don't feel it. So, just like Rhonda Pierce told us, change that needle, change the needle often. And I know some people that every time they do some sort of, start another stitch and doing an embroidery design, they actually change their needle, like a different color. They change needles often.
I don't even ask our customer, when did you change the needle? Did you, any of that? We're replacing the needle when we get on the phone together. That's the first thing we're going to do. You don't want to be inspecting a needle. You don't want to try and visually see. It's like you said, it can be so small. It's not worth your time to be going through that, do damage to your bobbin case or your hook, anything like that. So replacing the needle is very, very important. Having the right size needle is also important too for the fabric that you're working on.
Now I did see, okay, we got Laura. Is it Laura? I can't read the.
Like Lori,
anyway,
yeah.
Lori. Oh, there it is, Lori. Will my brother 6750 let me know when to service it? That's a great question, Lori.
It is a little bit of a loaded question there. So it should alert you once you've hit a certain time limit. Something I like in service too is like an oil change for your car. You could probably go 3 years and not get an oil change on your car and everything would work fine. Also during that process, you could have a more catastrophic problem. People will not use a machine for 1.5 years, and let's say they never hit that amount of stitches for it to indicate, hey, we're now at this time limit, stitch count, we recommend service. That's why we recommend it annual service. And if you use it regularly, biannually. So it will alert you, but you need to be kind of, aware of the fact of how long it has been in between services. And, if you've had that car parked in the garage, you definitely don't just want to hop in it and drive to Vegas. If you've had a machine put away in your closet for a while, you probably want to take it out and at least do all those things we went over. Take out the bobbin case, try and oil it, and just kind of do all that you can do just to make sure that you're not going to do any damage.
That's a good point, because a lot of times, people, their machines sit for a while and they don't use them, and they think, okay, I got it serviced last year, it should be in good shape, but that's not necessarily true. A lot of times we recommend to get them serviced yearly, regardless of how much you use it. And if you use it a lot, you probably need to get it, 2-3 times a year. And but what are some things that they could do, like just maintenance things they could do, Chris, besides blowing it out at home, blowing it out, changing needles, or anything else they could do just in between services right now?
In between services, what the customers can do is definitely inspect all of those pieces. Your bobbin case, take off your needle plate, really check the needle plate. If you have a little burr or a little mark on there and the needle, the thread's passing through there, kind of rule of thumb is anything that your nail will hang up on, that's going to grab the thread and start to create problems for you. So you want to check all around your hook. If you get a needle that deflects, you can get the needle to hit the hook and that will create a little burr. So it's really just a lot of visual inspections. We recommend that people don't try and time their machines. I know that there's a lot of information out there on how to do so. We do see a lot of problems with people retiming machines when they didn't need to retime it. Is another problem. But those things are better left to us. It is a very fine adjustment. But yeah, you can definitely replace your needles and kind of just go through all of the routine maintenance. Make sure that you're getting everything clean. Make sure that everything is running smoothly. Refer to your manual. It will show you in each manual where to oil, depending on the type of machine, long arm or serger or whatever it is. Everything's a little different, but they will show you in those manuals where to. And I see we had a question here about the ratio of alcohol to water. I use about a quarter. And we use the 70% alcohol. I use about 1/4 to 3/4 water. So 1/4 alcohol, 3/4 water. It's not a real fine science also. So we kind of put it on there. If you make it too strong, it'll want to, wipe off the paint off the logo.
It's funny, Chris. We just talked about this. I think I sent an email out yesterday and we were talking about this to we need to let people know, and especially because I had some questions about now, since all this, virus thing, people have across the nation, they're wanting to keep their machines cleaner and sanitized. And I had somebody email me a question about, what is safe to put on my LCD screen that's on my machine. So can you talk a little bit about that? Can you use the same solution for your LCD screen?
Very carefully. So if you use a small amount of very lightly damped rag, put it on there. Typically with those LCD screens, just to get the fingerprints off, you want a microfiber rag to do so. As far as getting germs off there, you can do it with that same cleaner. You just want to be a little more cautious. You don't want a big sopping wet rag all around your screen. But we do recommend really wiping the machine down, cleaning out your needle plate very well. Wipe down, your feet and your needle bar. The less lint, the less stuff you have in there, the better it is. Another thing to consider with your canned air, just on the upkeep side, is lifting your presser foot and taking the canned air and blowing it into your tension. So that is, again, going to be located in various places depending on the machine. But if you have a presser foot lifter, make sure to lift that so your tension discs open. And that will help intermittent tension problems. A lot of time you'll get a little ball of thread or something in there, and that will create an issue.
Good stuff. Okay, so one of the things that I know that you do a lot, and so, for everybody out there that's watching, we are probably, there's not probably about it, we are the largest long arm dealer in the country for long arm quilting machines. And so I know that's probably the most technically challenged machine there is for users out there to keep them up and running, because they run so fast. They're using them a lot. And, there's a lot of things, whether it's robotics or free motion or whatever they're doing. But I know I see you sometimes get on FaceTime with people and let them show you what the problem they're having. And you can sometimes solve issues over the phone even. So what are some techniques that you do currently in the service center? Because I know we service everything that we sell, we service. We actually give phone support. We give incredible service support. So what are some things that y'all do like that just to help the customers out?
Well, typically, so if someone has a problem, they'll call in. We try and resolve it with a phone call. If we can't, and sometimes it's hard to describe a part. A picture says 1,000 words, so a video is going to be even more helpful. So we can, either get an emailed video, we can FaceTime, whatever we need to, really. The last case is if we need the machine to come in here, we're trained on all the machines. People are timid on long arms, I think, because there is a learning curve, that it is larger, it's on a big frame, but realistically, it is one of the simplest machines to not only work on, but to operate. There's not as many, motors and functions as there would be on, your high-end embroidery and sewing crossover machines. The main problem we see with these long arms is the encoders, people getting that encoder adjusted correctly. So it is the one issue that we do see. So it is something that we work providing video, FaceTime to make sure that, people are getting that installed correctly. Once we get it installed, and, when we install something and we get the encoder set, people will never have a problem. People who are doing a first-time self-install, there's a little hump to get over with the encoders occasionally. But, with the right guidance, we get them set. And really, that's the last of the problems we see with those long arms.
If anybody, I thought I saw a question up there about a Janome. I can't, do y'all see that? If anybody has any questions for Chris about service questions, make sure you chime in. And again, if y'all make any kind of comments or ask any kind of questions, you're going to be automatically entered to win some of the giveaways we're going to get ready to give away here in just a few minutes. And, but I thought I saw a Janome question. If you could find that. Not sure.
Yeah, I didn't see it come up there.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're sorry if you missed it. If you do have any questions and we don't get a chance to answer them here, hey, make sure you call the 800 number and try to get to our service department. Now, guys, again, be patient with us. We are running, short crew today, or since the lockdown happened, we have 2 service techs working at the service center, and so they are working pretty hard and got a lot of things, and we have a lot of calls coming in. So be patient. I promise you, they'll call you, and Chris a lot of times will be the one that calls you himself. So make sure that you just get us the information and we'll get it to you. I promise you. So Chris, I don't want to keep you. I know that y'all are slammed city there today. So Julie just asked, she goes, my Janome manual states no oil.
That is normal. So there are a
Yep.
lot of sealed systems now, especially newer machines. They're going to use a grease rather than an oil. That's meant to be done by us. It's not just as easy as dripping the oil on there. You probably have a sealed bearing as opposed to a bushing. So always, it's super important to refer to your manual, because you can read online, oh, you have to do this on every machine. There is no true for every machine. So if it states that in your manual, go by that.
Great. I hear that a lot too. How much oil does my machine need? And I think, again, just read your service manual for your machine. Read your manual, and it'll tell you how to service your machine, and that's what you want to make sure you do. So, Chris, appreciate you taking the time out today. I know y'all are so busy over there, and you and Eric are really working hard. And but I think that was great tips and you shared today, and we look forward to having you on here again. So thanks a lot, Chris.
That's not a problem. If you guys need anything, feel free to call us here. You can email me. My email is chrisc@SewingMachinesPlus.com. And if you need anything, feel free to reach out. We're always here for you.
You want to put that on the screen, David? We'll put your email up, Chris, so
Okay.
everybody will be able to see it. So anyway, get back to work. So we got customers waiting on y'all. Thanks for your time, buddy. Appreciate it.
Will do. You guys stay safe.
All right, guys, y'all have heard from, I feel, two experts today. Rhonda Pierce was our needle expert, telling you all about needles. Chris Cooney is an unbelievable service tech. I mean, the guy, I've seen him do some amazing things, and he's extremely knowledgeable, and he helps customers so much, and he is pretty much one of the leading long arm experts in the country. I mean, if it's a long arm, I tell you what, even if it's some brand that we don't sell, he can usually help customers out with that. So, hey, I appreciate everybody, waiting on us. I know our show ran a little long today, but guess what? We are going to start giving some stuff away. So I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of, what we're doing in our website and our web business. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our stores while they pull up some winners and start getting some winners pulled up, and then we'll start giving some stuff away. But anyway, I wanted to let everybody know, give everybody an update about our retail stores. Now, our retail stores are kind of what we're called limited opening. We have just a very small staff working in the stores, and we're basically, when you come in the store, we're bringing people one at a time in the store to shop if they want to come and shop. If you're interested in being a volunteer for sewing and doing the sewing business, the mask, sewing for the mask, we're doing what they're called the facial masks that we're donating to the medical field. And we've got these kits made. Quilters Paradise is a local company here that cuts fabric and cuts kits and things. And they're cutting these kits for us that each kit has enough material in it to sew 10 masks. So that drive is doing extremely well. I think we're, well on our way to our 25,000 mask mark. But we still need sewers. So if you're stuck at home and you're brave enough to get in your car and drive out, you can just drive up into our parking lots, drive up close to the store. We'll have somebody come out and wait on you, and we'll give you a kit you can take home. And when you get them finished, you can come back and drop them off here at the stores. If you want to order something from the store, you're needing supplies, you can call ahead and make an appointment and come in and shop, or you can just call ahead and make an order over the phone, and we'll actually either ship it to you. And in some cases, I know we sold a big 10-needle embroidery machine. We actually delivered it to the person. So we'll deliver it for free. We'll ship it for free. We're trying to help anybody we can that needs supplies right now. Online, we have a small warehouse crew that's working and shipping. So our shipments are going out pretty good every day. We may, be a little slow sometimes, but the online orders are still going out. It's business as normal. We have about 90% of our staff is working from home. So they're working just like we normally would. We're just not in the office. So anyway, that's kind of the state of the union for, Sewing Machines Plus right now. And we're trying to make sure that we keep strong in our business going, so our employees have jobs and we keep our customers supplied with their sewing materials. So anyway, hey, Kyle, David, do we have any winners yet? All right, so the first thing I want to give away the pack of the Patriotic Fat Quarters. So if we can get a winner. And make sure, guys, if y'all win, you send looks like Perry WM. Perry WM is our winner. So Perry, make sure that you email us your full name, shipping address, where you want it shipped to CEO at SewingMachinesPlus.com, and we'll get that shipped out to you in the next day or two. The next thing we want to do, give away, is we want to give away our cake mix. And that's our cake mix recipe book and our layers of fabric, our layer cake. And we're going to give that away. So we need a winner for that. And it is coming right up, David says.
It's almost ready.
We have a random generator, so sometimes it takes a little long. It random generates of anybody that makes a comment or asks a question. It generates names from that list. And I think we have one coming up. Here it is. Laurel Kelly Costello. Laurel Kelly Costello. So congratulations, Laurel. Thank you for joining our show today. Make sure you email us your shipping address and name and everything and what you won, and we'll actually get that shipped right out to you. Our next giveaway is going to be the little scissor pack with the holder, and this is a thread cutter. So this is a little bit different type of thread cutter. It actually is on a string, and this is even safe to take on airplanes. So it's not really scissors, but it'll cut your thread. And we have some scissors, and we have a little caddy that'll hold the scissors. And we need a winner for that, guys. So there it is. So what is our winner? There's our winner, Yvette. I can't even pronounce that middle name, but Tallarico. Yvette Tallarico Brinkman. So congratulations, Yvette. You are a winner of the scissor and the little caddy and the cutter. So email us your information where we're going to ship it to, and we're going to ship that right to you. And next up is our machine giveaway. We're going to give 5 of these away, 5 of these. And so anyway, we hope good luck to everybody, and hopefully you'll win one of these. If not, we had a question earlier. Somebody asked if these were for sale. Yes, we are. They are for sale on our website. They're normally $119. We have them on sale for $79 right now, and it's a Janome brand. So just look under Janome, and you'll be able to find these things. What was the name of the Kyle? It's a Blush is the name. So Janome Blush machine. And you'll be able to find it very easily on our website. All right, so let's get some winners going here. So our first winner is D. Eckling. So congratulations, D. You're our first winner of the Janome machine. So let's get us a second winner. Now, D, make sure you email me your shipping address, and thank you for joining our show today. I know everybody's kind of stuck at home right now, and you're wanting to sew. And so thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join our show. And we're going to have some fun giving some stuff away. Here's our next winner, Julie Cannelly. Julie Cannelly. Congratulations, Julie, on winning a Janome machine. So that's winner number 2. Now we need winner number 3. Now, I had somebody email me yesterday and ask me, they lived out of state and they wanted to know if they could, participate in our mask drive. And, I told them, I said, look, it's so hard to even keep up with the demand we have here. It would probably be highly unlikely that we could, be able to ship you some kits. However, we do have the mask where we can do a downloadable, file, and you can actually use that kit or that template and directions to make your own mask at home if you got some fabric you want to donate, and then you can ship them here, and we're happy to give them away. I know that also we have somebody that's in the medical industry, or the medical field, I should say, in New York City, and they reached out to somebody here locally, and they asked us if we would donate masks up there. And so I know Quilter's Paradise was involved in this, and we donated 350 masks that sent to New York City to just help them out because they're in such a big demand. But most of the masks that we're donating here are local here in California, that people are really needing, some help. So that's kind of what we're working on right now. So But if you want to get involved, we'd love for you to get involved. We've had people donate fabric. We've actually had people, come into the store and just give us, cash and said, here, buy fabric with it and use that to make masks. So any way you want to help, we'll be, happy to try to let you be involved. And but right now it's just we're not able to ship the kits, out nationwide just because of such demand here. So anyway, do we have another winner, David? April E. Taylor. Hey, April. Glad you came on the show today. And April is our third winner on our Janome machine. And I've seen April on our show before. So I'm glad you joined again, April. And thanks for joining. And I don't, where's April from? I don't know. Where are you from, April? You could put a comment up. So I don't, maybe she'll tell us where she's from. All right. So let's get our fourth winner, David. Our fourth winner, Kathleen. Kathleen, thank you for joining, Kathleen. You are a winner. Make sure you email us your shipping address, and we'll get these machines shipped out today, hopefully. And and that was our fourth winner. So here's our last and final winner of the machine today. And so great little machine. And thank everybody for joining in. And this is our Rachel. Rachel is our fifth winner. So thank you for joining in, Rachel. And again, make sure you email us, your address, your shipping address, where we can ship your machine to, and we'll get that out in either today or tomorrow. And so anyway, that concludes all of our drawings. And I appreciate everybody joining in. Hey, we're going to be back in 2 weeks again on Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and you can join us then. And if you have any tips you want to share, please email your tips to tips@SewingMachinesPlus.com. And if we read your tips on air, we'll actually give you a $100 gift card that you can either use it to shop on our website, or you can go into one of the retail stores locally and shop with it. So, but just send us a tip, and if we use it on air, we will most certainly reward you with a gift card. And I hope everybody enjoyed our guest today. I want to thank Rhonda Pierce again. She is a sewing and needle expert, and you always learn a lot when you get some of these experts on the air. Rhonda is such a nice lady, and I've known her for a long time and enjoy being around her and talking to her. So we really appreciate Rhonda taking time out of her day and coming on. And then I also want to thank our service manager at Sewing Machines Plus, Chris Cooney, for coming on. And many of y'all, if y'all have ever dealt with our service, you've probably talked to Chris, but they're extremely busy over there. And so I'm glad he came on board and took some time to come on and talk to you. And hey, Julie, she's coming on there. And hey, Deborah, glad everybody's safe in your area. And there's Rachel. And so, yeah, thanks for everybody for tuning in today. And anyway, we're going to be on in 2 weeks. We don't know. We're trying to have a really special show in 2 weeks. And if we get this guest on that's coming, you are going to be super, super excited. It's a celebrity, is all I can say, a celebrity guest coming on board. And in 2 weeks, we're going to have some incredible giveaways. So hopefully we're going to get the guests that we're shooting for, and we're going to hopefully get the giveaways that we're trying to give away. But we will be announcing that on Facebook, the time of the show, and who's going to be on board. Hey, Susan, thanks for joining in. And so we'll have all that on our Facebook page, and we'll also send that out into our email address. So anyway, guys, sorry we went over today, a little bit longer show than normal. But anyway, I know everybody's sitting at home, nothing to do anyway. So we're glad you joined in. Hey, everybody be safe out there, and we'll see y'all next 2 weeks on Thursday.